Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Friday night edition of the Moriah Nightly News. From the nation to Moriah, here are the headlines for tonight. Following the end of a high stakes meeting in China, the results of that are becoming more and more clear. The fallout over that appears to be, at this point in time, what will happen over Taiwan and the defense of Taiwan, and the president highlighting strategic ambiguity, keeping the United States strategy a secret, as should be the case, of course. And the term that was used was constructive strategic stability, seemed to be touted by President Xi specifically in the media, those reporting on it in the higher up media. And so, highlighting, of course, those economic deals that were important, and we'll seeing the how that plays out with some of those economic leaders that traveled with the president, Elon Musk being among the entourage that went. And so that will be, of course, important to follow on the national and international stage as well. As we reported on Wednesday, they do appear to be somewhat emboldened, though probably not as what is projected by the Chinese leader. Most dictators, especially in the communist world, have a tendency to do that. But it will be something that the United States will likely have to contend with down the road. Now, one of the things that is worth highlighting, and I don't think that many will highlight this, is discontent at home that China has had to deal with. And perhaps a good chunk of that is because of the tension with a free market economy that has been rather prosperous for the Chinese people, and those oppressive social and cultural policies on top of that. And so when you put those two things together, that will produce a clash internally by default, by nature, you might say, when you have freedom on one hand and intense control on the other, the two do not mix. That's like saying, what's the saying, gas and water, or something like that. They do not mix. And so that will be something that they will have to contend with. One of the things that the more Christian media, like CBN and others, are noting is the explosion of the church in China, which is important at this point in time, reporting that there are more Christians in China than members of the Communist Party. Very much a significant development. The underground church, or the house church in China, has been growing significantly for years now, decades perhaps, but that is a significant development for our Chinese brethren there. Now, they have an intense amount of pressure from the government there, because if you are a Christian in China, they require you to conform to government standards while professing Christ. Yet, they are not backing down, of course. They are still growing. But the disinformation from the government and has gotten to the point of rewriting the Bible in certain passages and things like that. But definitely they are afraid of it because they cannot stop it. Um, if the Soviet Union could not stop it for them, or the Roman Empire for them, the Chinese will be no different. So that is largely what took place on the international front. Of course, the Iran war is in the backdrop of those talks that were uh, discussed somewhat as well, but not as quite as the Taiwan situation. The president said he would reconsider that. So we'll see what happens there. And we'll be watching to see if the ceasefire holds and how all of that pans out. Of course, you're welcome to go back and watch some of our or listen to some of our previous episodes to follow up on that coverage. Because there is a great amount to cover again on the local front. Last night, of course, we were in Ticonderoga for the high stakes, highly controversial meeting in the community building, as we had reported on that for at least a week, to try and bring you the best information that we could on that story happening in Ticonderoga. The meeting was canceled, as we reported in our special report last night, and we aired audio from that meeting to bring you what took place in as close to real time as possible, as we are capable of doing, as our gear or technology will allow us at this point with our low budget operation here. But as we were there early enough to get in, the room quickly filled up to over capacity. A room that was only designed to fit 197 people, and this is posted on the right at the door. Quickly became overcrowded, and as the meeting began, Supervisor Jim O'Brien shut down the meeting, citing the New York State open meetings law. Now, here is an image from that event. This is Jim O'Brien last night at that event with speaking with a well, really a protester there, I would say, is someone at the event. Again, someone really opposed to it. I shouldn't use that word protester, but really because a concerned citizen perhaps is the better term for that, as we all are over what took place. And so before I jump into the analysis here, this is video from that, what we had take place last night. We had the full audio clip, but here is a video for our YouTube audience. Well, that looks like we're having some tech issues on that end. Well, you know what they say, you make plans and God laughs. They did work on the warm-up, but not in the live stream. So my apologies there. But the audio, which I could default to, but I will not, because the audio is up there. But so Mr. O'Brien cited the open meetings law. Could try that one more time. I don't think it's gonna go.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you. So you can come back another night. Ticonderoga is not like this. Shut it down, Bobby. Simple as that. Exactly. We all didn't come here to talk about it. We come here to shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. And the wind.
Well, it did keep up a little bit there on that try there, but I think you get the picture there that people were unhappy, to say the least. But so the law that he cited there was the New York State open meetings law to stop the meeting. Which so I did a little research, and there was no provision in that law to shut down the meeting based on over occupancy of that room there. Um, the law, of course, um, does require that these meetings be public, that they are to be made available to the public in the best way possible. And so the way that it's stated in this is one section of the law to basically make all reasonable efforts that are held in an appropriate facility that can adequately accommodate members of the public who wish to attend such meetings. And that is basically one statement of that law, and you can go online and read it. It's public knowledge. And then there are also provisions in that law to make for technology use that the town board or whoever school board could be a school board is required to stream to wherever it goes or broadcast post to YouTube to make it basically to make it as widely available as possible. And if you saw the audio from last night, that was noted by someone in the room. So with all of that being said, there clearly was no violation of the law. So, this was, to put it bluntly, this was a clear case of manipulation, gaslighting, and outright lying on the part of your local officials, for those of you who live in Ticonderoga. And quite honestly, as someone who lives in the town of Moriah, I am quite proud of my Sentinel brethren, and to remember that there are always some Moriah Vikings who are always happy to help you plunder and raid and drain the swamp from City Hall. So that is probably about all I will say on that. They did reschedule the meeting at the high school at 6 p.m. on Monday, where they can hold up to 500 people. And I would guarantee you it will be a packed house there as well. But so if they will, we'll see if they try and play that same card again. But really, they should have tried to save face and hold the meeting anyway. When really, if you had police on hand, you could have turned people away at the door when you started getting close to capacity and taking a head count. And someone noted that Jim O'Brien is not active on social media, and so maybe didn't know how much public interest was involved in the case or something like that. And when the town of Ticonderoga runs a Facebook page that is active and posting as it is, someone in his circle knew about it, and so that line is, and the whole line of logic that was given is probably about the size of the manure that my cows produce in the yard here. So, with that being said, we move up to the north to our business spotlight up in Moriah with highlighting some of the businesses in our community as we have been attempting to do with some of those who have been supporting us here at the Moriah channel. And I do want to give a brief editorial note on that, or just to say that and ask for your patience with that, as with the amount that has been starting to pour in, that that there will have to be some planning on when to how to structure those and get the various advertisements or sponsor segments to public. So I just ask for your patience on figuring that out. And but tonight's spotlight is Y&Y Firewood and Topsoil right here in the town of Moriah, with Walt Yacalis heading that up. And he asked me to put in the tagline, Walt, Tom, and Tom Jr., proprietors, sole proprietors, he said, but I guess the three would be the proprietors there. Of course, being under the banner of Yacalis Logging and Construction, he has headed up most of the firewood and topsoil side of that since retiring from the state DOT crew a few years ago, and has done a great job. So we want to commend him in that, and also has the cattle buying there as well. And so be sure to give him your business when possible. But definitely want to highlight the businesses that don't get a lot of attention for sure. And in the Mariah Focus tonight is the school budget vote, which is happening on May 19th from 1 to 8 p.m. at Moriah Central School in the lobby. There is a proposed $22 million budget, and what we're looking at there is a 2% increase on the local tax levy, and that is a what looks locally to be about $4.1 million. That's about 23 cents per 1,000, according to the newsletter, which I have right here. It came in the mail today, and they talk about the budget and all of the things going on there. So, with all of the focus on renewable energy, I do want to highlight something that is in this newsletter, and that is the proposal to purchase an electric school bus, um, which is a total cost of $484,589, compared to $197,000 for a diesel school bus. So that's at least double the cost. And adding that up, and with all of the state reimbursement, they're looking at a cost to the district total between those two buses there about $46,000 roughly. Of course, it's all taxpayer money anyway, whether it's state or local. So don't be fooled by that line of thinking. But um, a an electric school bus in the Adirondacks is quite foolish, in my opinion, because the rolling hills of Moriah, as we have noted on the program in the past, I don't really know what they're thinking with that, but it's just all of the renewable energy push as we're seeing with from the federal level on down, from the Green New Deal, or other names as it's called, to all of these stupid state initiatives that, and on the local level that are quite ridiculous, that have no practical value at this point, when I can just go to my gas pump and fill up and be done with it. There is no uh, the technology is not in place for this, and um, we are not at the point of replacing fossil fuels, whether that's locally or nationally. So I know that this is contested, but it's just this is just such a waste of your tax dollars. And so if you have a problem with that, I urge you to go to your voting booth and vote no on the proposal to buy an electric school bus. and to voice your opinion at these school board meetings and school board, town board, and whatever it is, and not allow your uh, elected officials to be complacent. We elect them, they work for us, not the other way around. So, that being said, there is Amy Gador is up for reelection on the school board and running unopposed. And that's not a criticism of the job she is doing there, but that is to say that there is just no interest in the political process. And that is where you have the most say locally. And I do encourage everyone, especially to get involved with the welfare and the well being of our children and to take note of what they're learning about. There was more to report on there, but I did not get it up on the stack. And so, therefore, we will hold that report until next time. So, with that being said, the Port Henry Fire Department, we did get an update there. A very concerning number came out of there. Speaking of where your money is going to go, that is to say that an 81% tax increase. This was from the Press Republican. So, and I had to read it 2 or 3 times to make sure I understood that right. To pay for the new firehouse, and this was basically the Port Henry Fire District would eat this cost, absorb this cost, eat it up over the course of that bond that they're proposing. So that is something for the voters of Port Henry to vote on as well. According to the results of that meeting that was held earlier this week that we had issues attending, was it would be phased in over the course of 3 years. And again, talk about local involvement. Only 10 people were in attendance for that meeting, which was lower than the report that I had heard around town. But that meeting is June 2nd, or that vote, excuse me, is June 2nd from noon until 9 p.m. So I really do urge um, anyone who has the ability to vote on that to vote on that. And either way, vote on it because voter participation is important. And so if you're planning for the weekends, Hunter Way Farms over there, they are usually open, usually 8 to noon on Saturdays. And they had a great event last weekend with the Mother's Day Market. It was a fantastic event with a lot of local vendors and a great time. I know they got rained out towards the end of the afternoon, um, but did look like it was a success from the reports coming in through Facebook. But they did announce through their Facebook page that they are closed for this weekend, I believe, because from what it looked like on the post, that they have to restock for Memorial Day holiday, which is just a week away for those planning and gearing up for the unofficial start of summer. Now, this weekend is also the rededication weekend to God for the nation. The president has been saying that May 17th will be the rededication to the Lord for our nation. And as an effort to combat the rising anti-Jewish and anti-Semitism, anti-Israel sentiment here in the United States, he has declared a national Sabbath for the weekend over the course of pretty much right now, May 15th through the 16th. And so we observe that with our Jewish brothers and sisters as well this weekend. And so you won't want to miss the opportunity to head out and support the local churches here in the communities with the Mount Moriah Presbyterian Church covering for the United Methodist Church, of course, here in town at 9 a.m., 11 a.m. at St. Patrick's, and then down in Ticonderoga with the plethora of options down that way with St. Mary's at 9 a.m., the Episcopal Church of the Cross at, I'd say that's 9 or 9:30. I did not write that one down, but that's there. 9 or 9:30. And you can look that up at the Times of Tide and get that time as well. 10:30 a.m. for Ticonderoga Assemblies of God, 10 a.m. out in Lakeside Regional, or if you prefer, Hague Wesleyan, for those of you that are old-fashioned like me. And so I like to end on a more positive note, and so that would be the more positive note to spend the weekend in a little bit of rest and reprieve from the work week. Speaking of rest and reprieve, we will be on a brief rest here at the Moriah channel and the Moriah Nightly News, as I will be heading south, and so therefore we will not be broadcasting next week. With that being said, I am praying about providing something with the meeting being moved to Monday, so that will require prayer. If anything, just pray. And so that is the Moriah Nightly News for this Friday evening and for this week. Good night.